Before you book your next cruise online, stop. These are the top questions you should be asking because a phone call could save you hundreds of dollars and unlock perks that you might otherwise miss. Hello, I'm Ray,
And I'm Barbara.
and we love to go on cruises.
We want to share our experiences and our knowledge with you in hopes to inspire and educate.
So we could be a blessing to others who share our passion.
So we recently had to unfortunately cancel a cruise, and to our surprise, we got penalized to have to pay a certain percentage. It was whether we canceled or whether we were going to rebook it or change it to a different date. So we got penalized a certain percent, and so after that, been kind of nervous to book again. We've never actually canceled before in our 20 something, 25, 26 years of cruising. We never canceled before, and we did have the insurance, and we still got stuck paying money. So this time we were looking at a cruise, and we wanted to make sure that we weren't gonna be cut off guard, and we wanted to get the best price we could. So we have a list of things that we just wanted to share with you with our recent call to book our next cruise.
Yeah, hopefully you guys won't make the same mistake we did.
Yeah.
So I was looking online, and based on the ports that we needed out of Florida and the dates that we had already had planned for our previous cruise that we had to cancel, I landed on Celebrity Cruises online, and I found a room that looked really good, had some good deals going on, and I ended up reserving that room. But then she wanted to go ahead and call.
I wanted to call because I think he was ready to book, and I was like, wait, I have a lot of questions. I want to make sure I know if we cancel for any reason. And also there are some things, we've never sailed on Celebrity before. So I really wanted to know what we were going to, get into before confirming we were going to book this cruise.
So when I was online, I was able to see the different types of rooms that they have. And we typically like to do like verandas or balconies. And I saw the price of one of the balconies. And then when I looked at a little bit further, I saw that the price of a concierge balcony was not that much more. It was only like maybe $50 more total for the two of us. Three of us, sorry. And so I ended up just reserving the concierge balcony. But you wanted to...
So the first thing, obviously, that you're going to be looking, and online does have some value, obviously, because you can see the base prices or what's cheapest or whatever, and you can choose what type of room: inside, ocean view, balcony, concierge. We've never done concierge before. So we're looking at the price, and we're like, man, that's pretty cheap for a concierge. So again, I like to get confirmation. So I was like, that's one of the things we wanted to ask about. So we called in, and he also had some discounts on there that I needed to clarify. So that was the first thing we called in. And, with the concierge, like one of the questions that I have, because based on what we've seen in the past, is that even though whether you pay for whatever the concierge room itself, you're probably going to pay a little bit higher gratuity. So I was curious what the gratuities were going to be, so that like completely what you're going to pay for that room, and also, since we've never done concierge before, and plus we've never been on this cruise line before, so we really don't know enough about them. But what's included with that? So what's the value of getting a concierge room versus the regular balcony? So those were two of the questions that we had, and that would be the first question probably for everybody. So that was one of the first things. And when he reserved it, it was a guaranteed room. And I don't want to do guaranteed rooms anymore. We used to do guaranteed rooms for many years, and no issue with that. They can put you wherever, and usually we've gotten very lucky, had good rooms. But the issue for me is that I'm very noise sensitive, and we don't like smoke, and so now it's more important for me to select our room. So that's another thing I wanted to know. Okay, I don't want a guaranteed room. I want to switch it to the room that we wanted to pick.
Yeah, and actually, so when we ended up asking about the guaranteed room, it was a certain rate, right?
Right, because it's cheaper. When they pick the room for you, you just kind of get stuck with whatever's left over.
Yeah.
So that's why it costs more to pick the room for you, because then you're being more selective and picking that particular room. So you do pay more for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, maybe they do have that on the website. Yeah, on the website. If you pick the room,
it does show you that.
Yeah.
So, and that's that's just the first thing when you look online that is valuable. But calling in, then we had whole bunch of other questions, which we'll get into too.
Yeah, and stick around because later on we're going to tell you how we ended up getting the getting the room that we picked.
The select your room versus the guaranteed at no extra cost.
Yeah, so stick around for that.
So also one of the things that I like to confirm, which, he says are usually on the websites too, and that's most likely accurate, but I like to confirm things. So when we called in and we were talking to the lady about this booking, we wanted to confirm the promotions that they had going on. For ours, I believe we had 75% off the second person, third and fourth people, or the third and fourth person are free. They also had a military discount, which I wanted to verify. I'm a veteran, but not a lot, but some of the cruise lines will only give discounts if you're active or if you're retired. So not all the time do veterans get discounts. Or if you do get a veterans discount, like on Royal, sometimes you have to send in your DD-214 or, prove it. Same thing with Florida residents. Sometimes you have to send in like a picture of your Florida license or something like that. So there's various promotions, and to find out what do you need to do for those promotions or if they're just applied. So that would be one of the next biggest questions, obviously, is, what do you get? What can you get? What discounts can you get? And then also I like to ask about onboard credit. Can we get an onboard credit? So those are just things you can ask them. Sometimes they can come back and say, yeah, we can give you $50 onboard credit for whatever, sometimes not, but that's the thing. Can't do that when you're online. I guess maybe if you're chatting with somebody, but like talking to them and going through all these questions, you can ask them, and they may know things that the online booking is not going to necessarily give you. So that's why I like calling into just okay, how else can we save?
Yeah. And we had to figure out as well, some of the cruise lines, they have the discounts for kids sail free versus the third and fourth guest is free. So that's a big difference. And also, some cruise lines, like kids are like 12 and under or something like that. We have a 15-year-old son and a 19-year-old daughter. So
Right.
obviously the 19-year-old, she's no longer a child, but
in that third and fourth person, she would be free. Obviously, you pay for taxes and fees, but the cruise fare is covered, So yeah, she would, the third and fourth, if we were staying in the same rooms. But yeah, that's exactly right. If you have a kid and you're like, oh, my child is 13, and you go to get a kid sail free, and you're like, why am I getting charged? And they're like, yeah, kids here are 12 and under. You're like, well, that stinks.
Yeah. And I think the websites are usually pretty good about, I think they ask like the ages or something, to
I'm
kind
sure
of help
probably.
avoid that. But
Or just some stuff to be aware of so that you're not caught off guard or something, or just to even clarify when you call the book. Hey, I saw there's a kid sail free. Is my child eligible for this? Oh, they're not. Is there something else that can be applied? I don't know. It's just always, to me, it always seems like somebody on the other line knows more than you may, especially if it's a new cruise line, or if you've only cruised with them a couple times or whatever, and they're going to be the most savvy on any promotions and stuff. So yeah.
So we're going to continue this in the next video because it's gotten pretty long already. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.